Well, welcome to the show, everybody. And some people are going to say, hey, it's only 5-2 or something like that. He's a little bit early. It's morning, it's before noon, and we're getting going on Your City, Your Voice here today. Let's see, we got everything all set up. My radio guys are set up, everybody's all set up, which is a fantastic thing. And we're going to get going here across from the Meteor Crater in the studios of 4680Q Radio downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. My name is Paul Keelemere. This is, you can read it right up there, Your City, Your Voice, coming to you live after a rousing Manic Monday with Dave Wheeler in the studio, talking about the City Council agenda. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that this morning. Most likely, we'll get into that a little bit more. And I'm just going to adjust this microphone here and set it all up just right for the show. And, the City Council meeting is this afternoon at 4 o'clock. And I always like to get into it on Mondays so everybody gets a chance to see the show and look at what we're talking about. And then at 4 o'clock, well, actually, they convene at 2 in an in-camera meeting, top secret stuff that we can't know as citizens, even though most of them campaigned on transparency. There has been an in-camera meeting every week for 3 years now. I think they missed 1 week at one point, but everything else has been in camera every meeting. So they go from 2 till 4 or 5. And they changed that, of course, because these meetings cost us $1,600 an hour. Yeah, cost us taxpayers. So not having the staff come in and sitting around for 2 hours while they're in camera doing whatever it is they do, because we don't know, it's top secret. So now they don't have to pay them. So that's good. They save us a few bucks every meeting from that. And by the time they get back, it's 4 o'clock. They're supposed to be back at 4. It's usually 5 or 5:30. So if you're going to tune in this afternoon and you don't make it at exactly 4, don't worry about it. Forget about it. They're not there anyway. They come back about 5 after they finished off the pizza and wings, and by the time they go through the preliminaries, which they always go through all the proclamations and declarations and everything else, awards, it's usually, I would say, probably they get going around 5:30. So if you're a little bit late, don't worry about it. The real meat of the meeting starts at around 5:30. Now I look outside on this Trash Talking Tuesday, show number 892. So 800, 592, 800. I'll be there one day maybe, but I'm probably there now from, I did a couple 250 shows way back when before COVID. And I've done at least 150 shows with Absolutely. So yeah, I'm up closing in on the 1,892. Wouldn't be wrong, but it is actually show number 592. Been going 3 years. It was 3 years in September. Been doing the show 4 days a week, and it's Trash Talking Tuesday. 70 degrees out. It was when I woke up at 5:30 this morning. It's dropped to about 68 or 67. Pouring rain out there. Believe me, it's a bad hair day. It's a bad hair day. Just take my word for it. But we've had July weather in October, so now we're getting back into more seasonable temperatures and weather for fall for October. But it's not going to be around for long. Any nice weather that we're going to get, we know where we're going. It's like the Easter cream egg. You're only here for a certain amount of time, and then eventually we got to get into the fall. And it's been a wacky day because the barometer's dropping like a rock. Low pressure moving in. That's why we have rain. But we're still going to be in the 60s for the next few weeks, dumping into the high 50s, mid to high 50s. So we still have nice weather coming. A lot of nice weather. It's just not going to be 80 degrees like it was yesterday. That was summer weather. And speaking of fall, this is a great time to give a wake-up call to all people who procrastinate with their vehicles. That's right. If you're a procrastinator and you don't like taking your car into the mechanic to get it checked out before winter, Well, this is your wake up call right now. We know what's coming. It's always better to be proactive than reactive. So you got to take your car to Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop and let Ken Hunter take a look at your car. Make sure it's running tip top. Your brakes are working. Everything is good. Your heater's working. Your defroster's working. You get those winter tires ready to go, and you're set for winter. Why break down and stand out in this kind of weather waiting for CAA? Because you know that's when your car is going to break down. It's Murphy's Law. Just get it in there. Let Ken check it out beforehand. Get it all ready to go, and then you don't break down. That's the key. You got to be proactive. So where do you go? Wild Bill's Auto Repair .ca. WildBillsAuto.ca. That's where you go to see his website. You go to Oakwood Drive, right next to the Kia dealership, to give him an in-person visit. Take your car in there, get it checked out, get it fixed. Be proactive. Don't break down. And while you're at WildBillsAuto.ca, check it out, the website for Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, because they do have a full body shop. They'll take your car in, damaged, send it back to you in showroom condition. While you're at their website checking it out and making your appointment, hey, go over to Your City, Your Voice, Paul Lemire on YouTube. Subscribe to this channel. We have 176 subscribers. Let's get to 200 before the end of the year. That's my goal. 200, help me out here. Share the video. Tell your friends about it. Get them to tune in. Let's get them in on this, because the more the merrier on this channel. Subscribe. You'll get a notification when I drop a video, and I do it in the afternoons. Usually it's on by about 2:30, 3 o'clock. Get subscribed to the channel. It costs you nothing. Leave a thumbs up. Leave a thumbs down. Leave a comment. Hey, we got an election coming up in the next year. And we've had substantial tax raises over the last 4 years, and we're looking down the barrel of a 6% this year. We'll see what happens at the end of November when we have our budget meeting. But the way it's looking right now, we're not going to get any break this year. So we have to hold these people to task that are sitting on city council. They're the ones who don't want to raise taxes, but yet they do. They campaigned on not raising taxes, and yet they have. Have to hold them accountable. They're the ones who do it every year. It's not our fault as taxpayers. It's a spending problem, and we have to correct that. That's why you want to join it. Subscribe to this channel. Listen to what we have to say, and we'll go from there. Anyway, we're going to move on to our second and third sponsors later on in the show. Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue, the best pizza in town, and Hamill Machine Company. Been here since 1948, doing good deeds for industry in the city. So let's get into the show. Oh boy, this is going to be a fun show. Right, Gary Wilkins. I went to the Save the Armory event. Yeah, there's a big event on the weekend on Saturday at the Armory on Victoria Avenue and Armory Street. And it blew my mind, the amount of war memorabilia that is housed in that historic building. You know, it was built in 1911, along with, I think, 10 other locations, 11 other buildings across Canada as part of a militia and war effort. And it's housed, cadets and everything else in there. But there were rooms that were dedicated to the Army, Navy, Air Force. Unbelievable uniforms, munitions, storyboards telling you the history of a lot of this stuff. From World War I, World War II, Korean War, just amazing what was in there. And you would never think it's in there, believe me. Most people were just blown away that were attending the day by everything in this building. And there was also a room dedicated to Black soldiers that fought in the war for Canada, which I thought was really, really interesting. It's kind of like a forgotten part of the war effort. Much like in the United States, the indigenous were a part of the war effort, the Native Americans, and they were kind of forgotten about, but they played a huge role, and so did the Blacks. This whole room told you about them, who they were, where they were from, what they did, what regiments they were in, and everything else. Just totally, totally interesting, and I would have never guessed it was housed in that old armory down there that we want to save. when I went there, there was only one counselor that was there, Counselor Lococo. Perhaps some others showed up later. I don't know. I got there around 11 or 12:45. I stayed for about an hour. And I ran into Gary Wilkins, Dave Wheeler, met a couple of fans of the show that I had never met before, which was really cool. Thank you very much to Matthew Genorio and Mike Baldazio, who actually introduced themselves and said hello. I really like that. There's Gary Wilkins going by with a beautiful umbrella right now. He looks like Mary Poppins out there. Is he wearing a wheel shirt? I don't know. He's got a jacket on. I couldn't tell. But they introduced themselves, which is great. There are people that listen and follow me, and I recognize their names just from comments and that kind of thing. But I really had never met them before. So that was so nice. Thank you, you guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for saying hello. The barbecue was manned by our own town crier, Patrick Sirianni, who was cooking up hot dogs and burgers. The dogs are great. Right off the grill, I had one. Yep, that was it for me. One of those giant hot dogs. I was done for the day. I couldn't even eat supper. Some veterans from Fort Erie rode in on their Harleys. There was other veterans there, so that was nice to have them show up for the event. And it was a beautiful day for riding on Saturday. If you remember, it's just a fantastic day. Good turnout. Most people saying they never even knew this existed. This museum existed, and I'm going. It was unbelievable. Bought a few books, some about stories about war, and other books which were fantastic. I think I they were like $2 each. They had a whack of books. I bet you they had, I don't know, 500 books. A lot to do with the war effort, but it really, really nicely set up on the second floor, which is amazing themselves. There's even a bar up there. It wasn't open, of course, but I would imagine it was for the veterans back in the day. A bar with a little room. They had a lot of rooms upstairs on the second floor. Pretty neat. But yeah, so that was a pretty neat outing. If you can donate to it, you can go and just Google Save the Armory. Could be the website could be savethearmory.ca or .com. I can't remember. I didn't bring the card. My apologies, I forgot. But you can find it just by Googling it and get there. And if you want to give a donation to help support it, because it's not on the city surplus land use yet, but it could be, and we'll see if they want to reconfigure it. I'm I'm thinking, it would be great as a veterans retirement home. You could probably put, fix it all up and put, I don't know, maybe a couple dozen homes in there, units in there for retired veterans. That would be nice. Um, but they're talking about using it for other things, but I would rather see it help the veterans who served the country and maybe don't have the best place to live right now, or some are even homeless. So, and on the weekend, I also managed to pop in to see former Mayor Wayne Thompson. He's at the same long-term care home as my mother, and I wish I could sit here and report that he's doing well, but I think he's in tough right now. I went in and saw him. I didn't know if he'd remember me or not. He definitely was on the show before, so he knows who I am for sure. But he really wasn't with it. He was laying in bed, what the TV was on, and went up and talked to him. But he talked in a garbled voice. I really couldn't understand what he was saying. If he even knew who I was, I don't know. I don't know. So I sat there for 5 minutes and said hello and wished him the best, and 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 I left because he really couldn't communicate. But it was sad to see such a dynamic figure like Wayne Thompson in that kind of shape, and my heart goes out to him. I know people have a lot of different opinions of Wayne, but he gave 50 years to the city, and he did a lot of good things for the city, including the guy who was here when the casino arrived. Niagara Falls was going downhill pretty fast back then, and he got the casino here, and he got it up and running, and things have changed a lot since that day when they opened that first casino in 1996, coming up on 30 years of it being in Niagara Falls, and then subsequently they opened up the other one around 25 years ago, 2005, I believe, or six, and we had our $1 billion casino. So it's a great thing. It's been good for Niagara Falls. Lots of money coming in. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And he was spearheading that. He was behind that. And for me, it's hard to remember a time when Wayne Thompson wasn't on city council. He's just been so much a part of the city, and it's sad to see him like that. I didn't leave there feeling really great, to be honest with you. I wish he could have sat up and talked, about things. But anyway, I saw him. I wanted to go up and see him. I promised you that I would go up and see him, and that I would report back to how he's doing. And not that great. If I'm going to be honest with you, not that great. I have when you go in there, you got to sign into a kiosk, and it it prints out a picture you're supposed to put on your shirt or whatever, so they know that you're in there and you're who you are. And I left that one of those behind. Hopefully, Bonnie saw it. His wife Bonnie saw it, and she knew that I was there anyway. So, because I'm sure Wayne can't communicate that I did come in if he even knew that I was there. Anyway, sad story. Sad story. Hate to see a guy like that who was so vital in that condition. City Council meeting is on today. Like we said, you can watch it at niagarafalls.ca. You can watch it on YouTube, or you can catch it on Kojiko if they're broadcasting. Sometimes they do on the city channel. Sometimes they don't. So it's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get. Tabernacle. Sometimes they have it. I'd rather watch it on TV, but YouTube is fine. I watch it on YouTube. And we're going to get to a couple items that I wanted to talk about today on the agenda, which we kind of skirted yesterday with Dave Wheeler because we don't have time to go into depth or have any big conversations about some of this. We did touch on red light cameras, or not red light cameras, the speeding cameras, automated speed enforcement, ASC they call them. I call them one-eyed bandits. So we'll get to that in a minute, but the technology and digital master summary cost of taxpayers, I think they spent $1 million on it, something like that. And when the staff was asked about a 33% participation rate, I thought that was pretty low. I mean, wouldn't participation be mandated in this survey to see what the people think? Only 33% filled out the survey. I mean, that's 67% of the city staff didn't even take the survey to tell them whether they liked it or not. Man, that sounds like our elections. 27%, 33% even bother. But you'd think they'd make it mandatory for staff to answer the questions and go in there and take it, right? I don't think 33% is valid, of any survey is valid as to what they think about it or anything else. Well, the report wasn't that great. Excuse me, I got the hums again. When I get in here, this happens. Our maturity score on the technology scale, digital maturity scale, they call it, is 1.56 out of 5. Sadly lacking. We are digitally immature. Now, being digitally mature isn't as easy as it sounds. And exactly who sets the standard for digital maturity? Older employees are not really proficient in the digital age, to be honest with you. I mean, younger people grow up with a phone and technology in their hands, so they're going to be more proficient. I don't see a lot of the older people there probably comfortable with technology and proficient with it. And I don't need a survey to tell you that. That's just a fact. I mean, just, if you're my age and you're working with the technology, I'm not bad at it. I'm pretty good, but I'm not even close to what a 14-year-old probably is. I mean, and this is going to have to come about as the city grows up, as people, move in and out of the workforce that are a little bit younger and are a little bit more proficient with this. I don't think there's a magic button you can push where everybody is digitally mature. I think that's it. And part of consultation showed the city lagging behind in many areas. You see it on the street with things happening real slow. Reaction times to any difficulties are slow. Even simple things like having a pothole patched is slow. Where technology can help people get to the scene and repair things like that quickly. We'll get there. Skills and resource gaps mean technology at employee fingertips are not being used to the fullest. And that's mostly about training. That's mostly about training people. And also, people want to be trained. Some people just don't like change. They don't want to use the technology. So screw this. The old way we used to do it is a lot better. It's like everything else in life. When they first brought out the automobile, Henry Ford, people said the car will never replace the horse and buggy. Yet, here we are, right? And technology will never replace mail, hand delivered mail. Well, that's some people still believe that, but it's not true. And CAO Jason Burgess has spent a lot on technology and upgrading our systems in that. And if you don't train people to use it and you don't use it, it's really wasted money. So it's very important that these people get trained to use it. And you can read about this whole thing in the agenda and see for yourself what it says. But read it at your leisure. There's a lot of information there in the consultant's report. I mean, it's your money they're spending on this technology, and we definitely want staff to use it and use it good to make it a lot easier for everybody, make the city more efficient, and service the taxpayers better. That's what it's all about. That's what they got it for. Item 9.1 is casino revenue history. And this is one I want to touch on. Because I don't really remember seeing this comprehensive of a report from the city regarding casino revenue. I could be wrong, but I don't remember one. It really breaks down the $230 million or so we've received since 2013. I think 230,000 might be since day one, or 230 million, because at the beginning we weren't getting a heck of a lot, and then we moved to this new model in 2013, I believe, at a percentage of revenue. I think we were getting a flat 3 million a year, and that was that, with the province paying for the police that area. And that was around 4 million a year, I believe. And now we've got a percentage what we have to pay for the police. But anyway, it shows how the money's being used, and you have to remember when you look at this piece of information in the agenda presented by the squirrel Tiffany Clark, our finance person, you have to remember this was created from their perspective. The facts are there, presented from their perspective. It may not be candid. Let me put it that way. There's a lot of things that are said that aren't necessarily totally factual or truthful, because you can play with numbers any way you want. So numbers are thrown around using creative accounting, making the numbers, making their case, if you know what I mean. Because when they justify the casino spending and how they account for the money in the ledger, they have to make the case for that. And a lot of the case that they make is fear mongering, which isn't true, but it's useful for people so they believe it. It's all brought home through the noise of pages 1 to 24, and it all is brought home on page 25. Something that I've been talking about for a long time. If you look under variance, dollars, item, future capital spending, let me explain this to you. Rather than that, putting that number, $3,632,233 as revenue in the ledger, The squirrel squirrels it away for a rainy day. Now, this excess that is being squirreled away takes away from bottom line revenue, which means we have to make up a deficit by paying more taxes. So if that number was put in the ledger, it would be zero. Nobody would owe anything. We wouldn't have to pay taxes. But seeing as it's not, it's being squirreled away, then they're looking for another 4 or 5% from us to make up that shortfall, but it's there. So these are just numbers they're using on a ledger. That's all it is. Pretty simple to understand. Now, according to their numbers, 3.7 million would represent a 4% decrease in taxes. Well, when our taxes are going up 5% or 4.9%, that would mean like a 0.9% increase, not a 4.9% increase. Pretty nice, but by squirreling it away, they can increase our taxes to make up for the shortfall. Now, they can do that, but they give it back, right? Wrong. They don't. They raise taxes. They could give it back, but they don't. Now, let me also add that in 2024, bean counters managed to find an extra $10 million to spend after their budgets were approved. And we're probably up to that already by this time this year. Only have 1 quarter to go, October, November, December. Where'd the money we allegedly didn't have? Where did they get that? Where did it come from? We know that because they raised our taxes 4.9%, so they're alleging we don't have it. We have to raise your taxes because we don't have it. But yet, it comes up. The money they squirreled away, the shortfall on the projections for the casino revenue, and then another 10 million they spent. So that's like 13 or 14 million. And that's just creative accounting. This is how it's done. And, they estimate every job that's going to be done for the city. So they say, okay, we're going to spend $5 million to fix Park Street from top to bottom, say. Now, when the tenders go out and they come back in, it might only be 4 million. So that extra million, they got to put in reserves once again, and they can spend it on other projects. So if they overestimate the cost of work by 10% or 20% on a couple $100 million budget, that ends up being a few bucks. And when the real numbers come in, they have leftover cash. And they use that cash for other capital expenditures to the tune of 10 million in 2024. So between reserves and found money, there's lots of room to give back to the taxpayers, but they don't. So they could actually give that 3.7 million that they've underestimated the casino amount, give it back to us, but they don't. Go through the report, check it out. I could be wrong. Let me know. One thing, don't be gaslit by the excuse that the casino money could disappear at any time. Like, that's the fear monger that she always used when it comes to this, is it could disappear at any time. And we have rules. We can only use the money for certain things. That's a bunch of baloney. That's a bunch of baloney as well. Don't let them pull that on you neither. Because the rules that they go by to use this money were made by city council, not by the province. It's not legislated. It's not law. It's not mandated. City council said, here's where we want to spend the money. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They could change that any day they want. If they wanted to take the whole amount and put it towards roads or give it back to taxpayers, they could do that. Now, would it be wise? Probably not. But they could do that. The rules they made up are made by them. And they could change those rules anytime they like. Okay. So here's some points. The casino's been there for 30 years. It isn't going anywhere. And if the government tried to take away our share, we would just lay the hammer down on the hotels and that and jump the room fee from $7 to $50. That's what they did in Vegas. And it goes right to the city to make up the revenue. And there's no rules for using the casino money. Like I said, there's no rules. So there's ways that we can recover any money if the province just said we're not paying you anymore. That isn't going to happen. It hasn't happened in 30 years. We just throw a bigger tax on the casino. That's fine. We'll just up their property taxes. Yeah. I mean, a city council has power to deal with this kind of stuff. They really, really, really do. So don't let them use that as an excuse. All it is just gaslighting you to make you think that we have to be so fiscally responsible. The only liability we have and we should get rid of is to the police to give them 18%, a bad deal that Jason Burgess made during COVID. The only thing that we're committed to, and we should get rid of that ASAP if anybody on city council would stand up and actually take action against it. The one guy that wanted to is laying in a bed at Millennium Trail Manor. Lori Lococo's talked about it a couple times, Councilor Lococo, but that should be one thing we get rid of. They get $213 million from the casino to police Niagara Falls, and we pay a lion's share of it along with St. Catharines because we're the biggest. We don't have to give them 3.5 or 6 million a year extra. That's got to go. That's up to city council. Okay, let me get to my second sponsor, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. And whenever we talk about pizza, when I talk about pizza, I talk about consistency. And I talk about, I'm choking again. And I talk about great sauce. And I talk about great crust. And that's where Pete's Pizza jumps in the picture with the Mancini family recipe for sauce and crust. Then they just don't load it up with mozzarella cheese. No, they put it in the right ratio with the sauce so you get that beautiful flavor of the sauce coming through. You have that beautiful mozzarella and brick cheese blend they use. They know what they're doing there. And then they put it in on the right ratios, fresh toppings in the oven, cook it perfectly, and it makes a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pizza. But they're not just about pizza. They have great wings. They have great poutine, steak and cheese poutine, sandwiches, panzerotti, you name it, they have it. It's crazy. It's crazy how good it is. And that's why I like my Pete's Pizza. That's where I like to get my pizzas from. They opened a new location in Niagara West, out on Thorold Stone and Kaler, where the Pie Guys used to be. That's their second location now to serve that part of the city. So now you can enjoy great pizza out there too. You don't have to come all the way down to Victoria Avenue, which is closer to my house. But, for the Northwest, it may not be. So now you can get your pizza there as well. How do you get a beautiful pizza? You dial 905-374-2222. Go to Pete'sPizzaVictoria.ca. I don't know the number of the new store, but it's on Victoria Avenue, Victoria Avenue, Pete'sPizzaVictoria.ca. It's on the website. Check it out. Look it up. Get your pizza open to 2 a.m, Saturdays and Fridays and Saturdays. Open till midnight during the week for your convenience. How can you beat it? Get yourself a nice pizza. You know you want one. And bring a piece by my house too, will you? Support our sponsors. They support the city. Tell them Paul from Your City Your Voice sent you. And get yourself a nice pizza. Okay, moving on to item 14.1 on the agenda, and that's speed cameras. And, I'm really, really tired of people saying this is about safety. I just hate to hear that because it isn't. And if you don't have to be a genius to figure that out or a conspiracy theorist to understand this is about grabbing cash from people. It's a cash grab. Think about it. How many times in your lifetime have you seen anybody in front of a school? That's where they seem to want to put these things. Get hit by a speeding driver, any kids or anybody, or an accident in front of a school because of a speeding driver. Think about it. I've been here a long time, went to a lot of schools. I never saw this. I never saw this happen, even once. Maybe it has, but the percentage is so low. I don't think speeding drivers are a problem. Distracted drivers on their phones, and probably careless drivers, people that don't know how to drive, people that act like idiots going by school buses parked on the road to pick up kids. But most of the time, You don't see that a problem. And when we're talking about speeders, I'm not talking about grabbing guys going 2 kilometers over the speed limit. Oh, it's a 40 zone, you're doing 42. That's barely perceptible unless you have a camera on them. I mean, you don't see people doing 70 or 80 kilometers an hour through a school zone. You just don't. And even if you did, it doesn't mean they're hitting kids or getting in accidents. So it's not about safety. It's about a tax grab. I mean, most of the time, if you want to get down to speeding in accidents, it's usually on rural roads where people get on those roads. They know there's no cops and they just hammer it. And then they lose control in the bad weather or whatever. And in the ditch they go, smash into another car. If they're impaired, they're taking the back roads or something. And of course, the one thing about speed is that, the faster you're going when you do get in an accident, you have more of a chance of getting injured. But today, with all the safety gear in the car, you're even if you're going a little bit fast and you get in a wreck, you're probably going to make it through unless it's a big T-bone. But anyway, I mean, I don't like it when people are speeding around the neighborhood because the roads aren't made for that. There's a lot of bends and everything. They hammer it in there. There's kids running around. They're not careful in a quiet neighborhood. I mean, that's maybe where speeding is going to hit some kids or something. But most people, when they get into a neighborhood, they also slow down. They know. They live in their own neighborhoods. So they know. So if it's not speed that they're trying to take care of, because speed really doesn't cause these accidents, then what are they trying to do? Well, they're trying to grab money. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So if you want to cite speeding as a problem, you got to go to the rural roads in that. That's where the problems are. Now, the question is aggressive driving speeding? Not necessarily. If you're going 40 kilometers an hour down the street where it's 50 or 60, yeah, there's going to be aggressive drivers behind you beeping their horn and being mad. They want to go. They want to roll. It's more about frustration, and they get aggressive. So that's where you get aggressive driving, but they're not necessarily speeding. They just want to do the speed limit. I think the bottom line is, and Ford understands this, that this is not speeding is not a safety issue where they want to put these cameras. Most city streets, I dare anybody to speed down Lundy's Lane. How are they going to do that? Or McLeod Road or Thoroldstone Road? You just can't. There's too many stoplights. There's just too much traffic. You can't. Yet that's where they're putting these speeding cameras. And sure, they're going to catch guys that after the traffic subsides in the evening or something, they're going to catch a lot of people. But during the day, it's almost impossible. So let's get rid of them. They're a cash grab. One-eyed bandits. I think Ford's doing the right thing, and I know people can make a case, and they'll make a case all day. But when you ask them, just tell me when speeding has killed somebody. No, it's usually distracted driving, running red lights at intersections, stuff like that. That's where the accidents happen. It's not people speeding down the street. Okay, enough said about that. We'll see what they say about these things at City Council tonight. They're going to discuss all of them, and we'll see what they come up with, and where we go from here. So, but Ford said he's getting rid of them. That's the bottom line. They're a tax grab. He thinks other calming measures can work better without having to stiff people for $120 every time they don't pay attention to that camera and they're 1 or 2 kilometers over the speed limit there. Yeah, he's getting rid of them. Okay, let's move on. So you love Kearney. You love everything about Canada. Even the move towards communism. Well, savor it while you can. Over the weekend, Alberta and Saskatchewan dropped a massive announcement that they want out. That's right, they, like so many other awake Canadians, want out of this big disaster called Canada and are moving to become the 51st and 52nd states. Congratulations, Alberta and Saskatchewan. They're rejecting Carney's Canada and embracing Donald Trump's inversion of America. Free from crime, free from illegal aliens running the country with freedom of speech and prosperity. So they're looking to head south. They want to head south. They've had it. They've had it with this Trudeau Carney nightmare. I mean, it's pretty clear Canada is broken, and it's only going to get worse as Carney moves away from the U.S. as a friend and tries to build a bridge to the European Union and other third world countries. I mean, that's what he's really doing. Big mistake when we have a powerhouse to the south that we share 3,000 miles of border with. What could possibly go wrong alienating ourselves from the United States of America? And Carney's there now. We'll see what he comes up with. He went to Washington. These guys got to be laughing at this Mr. Rogers, as Brookfield's getting in big trouble, by the way. Alberta has always been a colony of Ontario and Quebec, and so is the rest of Canada, by the way, much like the colonies of Great Britain. As the power that controlled the Commonwealth at one time, Ontario and Quebec are the powers that control the Commonwealth of Canada. And Alberta and the other Western provinces are not equal. It's about representation. Ontario and Quebec call the shots. Quebec having their own sweet deal going at all times. Tabernacle. Danielle Smith and Scott Moe want better. They want an equal share of the wealth and are making moves to give their provinces that. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. This isn't a protest from them. It's not a protest. It's been happening for years, with the results being Ottawa just brushing them off and giving them nothing. The day of reckoning for Alberta and Saskatchewan are near, and the day of reckoning has arrived for the useless country called Canada. What's it going to be, boy? Yes or no? And don't sleep on it, because they'll be gone. Trump will be happy to take them in, and Canada will be a side note in history. If they go, it's done. And Carney has not done anything to appease them, and they've tried, but he doesn't want it. Quebec don't want a pipeline. Why the heck would Alberta stay in Canada? They'd be way better off in the United States. So we're going to see what happens with this. It's pretty serious, and we need change in this country. We need change. We got to get rid of these DEI woke people and get down to serious business as a country and keep Confederation going. But Carney, he's done everything he can to disrupt this country and break it apart. He has done nothing to unite it. Hey, you might not agree with me, but just look at what's going on. We're getting clobbered. We're getting clobbered. Now, how about this in Toronto? On a sign right in front of City Hall, it reads, English to a foreign language. Beauty requires resistance. Love revolution. So let me say that again because I said it wrong. English is a foreign language. Beauty requires resistance. Love revolution. That's a sign right in front of City Hall in downtown Toronto. Communist regimes use this tactic all the time. Propaganda in public places, conditioning the masses in plain sight. It's basically hate speech against white English people. Subtle, but still there. That's okay in Canada. Say anything and you're racist. That's the way it works. Get it? From river to sea, set Palestine free. Anybody who knows anything knows what that means. It means wipe out Israel. Hate speech, but no, they allow that. That's okay. And it's the same with this. English is a foreign language in Canada. And you know the sad part is? That's probably true for the GTA. That's what has been allowed to happen. English is a foreign language, but it's spreading across the country like a plague. There's so many times I just cannot understand what the people talking to me are saying. As we are being inundated by refugees and illegals, way more than we should have. I think I saw the stat that the growth in Canada and the population over the last so many years has been 36% immigrants. illegal refugees, whatever, immigrants. That tells you right now the demographics are changing. And yeah, English may well be a foreign language in Canada. What you see is not immigration. It's an invasion. It's an invasion. How what it is. Glad I'm old. I won't have to deal with it. I'll be long gone. But your kids are going to have to deal with it, and your grandkids, unless they start straightening out this country. That's the way it is. Well, yeah. Hey, I'm just telling you the way it is. How bad is the DEI in Canada? Well, let's take a look. How is it affecting our kids? Well, let's take a look. Get this. The University of Waterloo, I went to Waterloo, has restricted certain professional hiring to address underrepresentation, specifically restricting applications for some positions to cisgender men or to individuals who are not of a racialized minority. So if you're cisgender, that's white, basically. White, straight, if you want to get down to it. Individuals who are not of a racialized minority, that's white for sure. In other words, straight white men need not apply here. That's what it's telling you. Now, where's the white privilege that everyone talks about at the University of Waterloo? Where's the hiring by merit and qualification instead of DEI? Meritocracy gives you the best of the best, not hired because of your sex, race, religion, whatever, or any other parameter. It's by merit. The best qualified get the job. But no, University of Waterloo is going the DEI way, and it's right there. Yep, they restricted certain professional hiring to address underrepresentation, which means you get the best of the worst. You don't get the best of the best, you get the best of the worst. Now, this is the DEI Canada we live in right now. And the city's the same way. A lot of DEI in the city and the region, filling positions by quotas rather than filling positions by qualifications. When you look around, see cities crumbling and say the staff are idiots, well, you know why? They're not the best of the best. They're the best of whatever we need to fill. And that doesn't mean they're the best of the best. Trump has ended DEI in the U.S., send it in the military, and send it all over. Canada's doubling down on it. Go figure. Go figure. Wacky story. Yeah, I mean, if you talk about racism, that's it right there. If you're white straight, you don't get a job. In the U.S., Trump has informed Congress that the U.S. is at war with drug cartels across Latin America, which gives the U.S. forces flexibility to take out cartel strongholds no matter where they are. Of course, Venezuela is at the center of this campaign, with the U.S. wanting a regime change in Venezuela, and they're moving towards it to the tune of a $50 million bounty on Maduro's head. And he not only stole the title of a president, but is considered the leader of the drug cartels running drugs through Venezuela, and is also home of the terrorist group Aragua, which has a foothold in U.S. cities since the Biden administration opened the borders and allowed 20 million illegals in the country to the southern border during the reign of terror, and how they have taken over some towns and they're in charge. They're a conduit for fentanyl and other drugs, causing mayhem with their gang activities of drug dealing, murder, and theft, and any criminal activity they can make money off of. Previously, these groups were just considered criminals. Now, with Trump's terrorist designation, they're considered enemy combatants, which changes the complexion of the way they're dealt with. So it's a good thing he declared that. Combatant forces are dealt with much more severely by a separate group of forces than criminals are. And this is the beginning of a long-term strategy to deal with drug cartels, strikes on vessels in the Caribbean and other places that are carrying illegal drugs and enemy combatants, terrorists in the Gulf of America and now the Pacific. They're going to start patrolling the Pacific coast as well, Central America, South America. It's all possible now that they've been designated as terrorist combatant forces. Trump closed the border to effectively bring down illegal entrance to the U.S. to zero. Now he is taking care of alternative routes and watching the northern border with Canada as well. That is going to be the next problem area he is going to have to deal with. Thousands of illegals cross that border every year. And doesn't bode well for the 3,000 miles of unprotected border that we enjoy now and have been since the beginning of time, really. Really, the longest unprotected border in the world. But Trump doesn't consider Canada a friend anymore, not like they used to. And adding to that, Canada's just declared they're going to recognize a Palestinian state, something that Trump is diametrically opposed to, which puts Canada in his crosshairs for a lot of things. And he could declare Canada a terrorist state next. And if people think it couldn't happen, well, it could happen. And any hope of a deal, some kind of a trade deal, is probably off the books. So much that the term 51st state has crept into Trump's vernacular once again. Stay tuned. This is a developing situation, and it isn't going anywhere until these drug cartel terrorists are cleaned up. And that's what he's doing right now. I haven't heard a lot about Chile's trip to America yesterday, and he's there today. But I'm sure when sometime this afternoon there'll be some kind of a meeting or a press conference or something that says if anything's been figured out. I doubt if it has been, but who knows? Now, Trump and his cleaning up terrorism, not only international terrorism or foreign terrorists, but domestic terrorists, has moved into Chicago and Portland. And I'm going to get to that in a minute after I talk about my third sponsor, Hamel Machine Company. And you know, whenever you see an industry coming into town, first thing they talk to when you have economic development, and that is, do you have good machine shops? They want to know about power. They want to know about all the things that make their industry a success if it moves here, how the city's going to help. But they also want to know if there's good machine shops here that can take care of business for them. Because when they break down, they need somebody that can go there and fix their machines. That's where the machine shop comes in handy. They don't have time to wait for parts. Every time that piece of machinery isn't producing, they're losing money. If it's down, time is money. They're losing money. So they look for a good machine shop. And that's where they turn to a place like Hamel Machine Company. It's been in Niagara Falls since 1948, serving industry and serving homeowners like you and me. They have the equipment, they have the personnel, they have the technicians to be able to take care of anything. And when they go and fix something, either reverse engineer it or fix the existing part, they try to make it better. They try to make it more productive for the company. That's how good they are. They're innovative. And they help. They've done that for the wine industry. They've done it for the food industry. And they've done it for, well, just about every industry they've ever worked for. The agricultural products industry is one of the big ones they're involved with. And they ship their parts all over the world because of their innovations. Hamel Machine Company knows what's going on, and they do it right. And they don't forget about you. If you need anything fabricated or welded or fixed or repaired, they can do it for you. They're that good. And they're a great bunch of people down there willing to help you. Yeah, you got to go to Hamel Machine Company if you have a problem. Go to their website, hamelmachine.ca. You'll see everything they have to offer. And please support our sponsors. They support the city. They're good corporate citizens, all of them. And we want to see them do the best that you can. If you have a business that you would like me to talk about on this show, hey, let me know. 905-353-7560 or Paul Lemire at kojigo.ca. I do look for advertisers all the time. Right now, I'm looking for a fourth one to replace the Parks Commission who left. And I'd love to sit here and talk about your business and see if we can drive some business your way. We have the show on 4 times a week for an hour at noon. I mentioned all the sponsors 3 times a show. We have, I'm on YouTube, 176 subscribers right now. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Rumble, I'm on X, and I'm on Truth Social. This show is a podcast that goes on in the afternoon. Of course, your show gets exposure there as well. Hey, it's a great place. It's affordable to advertise. You're not going to break the bank, even for small businesses that don't have a lot to spend. This could be a great venue for you to advertise your business. Give me a call. Come on, welcome aboard. I'd love to have you. Okay, Trump's invaded Chicago and Portland and starting to clean up these sanctuary cities. Chicago's already a better place to live, and Trump has just started with it. Now, these Antifa terrorists and gangs are actually waging a war on ICE agents, so now Trump has ordered Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, to send in the heavy hitters to deal with these dangerous thugs. They've been attacking ICE while the local city police have been told to stand down in Chicago. But it doesn't matter. Tom Homan is going in no matter what. This mayor, Brandon Johnson, or whatever his name is, and the governor there, Pritzker, I think his name is. They're not the sharpest knives in the drawer. They want the terrorists to stay without being hassled. Does it make sense to you? It doesn't make sense to me either. There's something mentally wrong with these people. They'd rather have criminals running the city than have them sent back home and cleaned up. But the good thing is now is that Trump is sitting on the edge of declaring the Insurrection Act of 1807 down, and everybody's going, he's a dictator. No, this act has been used for many, many times by Ronald Reagan. The last time was in 93 by, I think, Bush, to calm down Alabama. Was the riots in Alabama or something? It was used by Kennedy in the 60s. I mean, it's been used 30 times over the course of the history of the United States by presidents when there's been uprisings. It allows them to send the military in to calm everything down. And they're going into Portland. And these Antifa-backed terrorists are funded, well funded. And they attack the police. They attack ICE. So they are rioting and causing trouble and defying police orders to leave the streets, clean the streets. But they're all going. They're all going. They're going to jail, or they're going to be arrested, detained, deport, or incarcerate. That's what it's all going to be about. A lot of them are illegals that are going to be getting the heave-ho. They're backed by Antifa, and they're geared up. I mean, these people aren't just there in T-shirts. They're geared up. They're geared up. But these National Guard deployments are going to be met with legal challenges, and they already are, but they're going to be overturned, and Trump's going in, especially when he enacts the Insurrection Act of 1807. It was 1992. They were invoked by President Bush, I believe, during the Rodney King riots. I think that's the last time it was invoked. But it's been invoked by Bush, Reagan, Johnson, Kennedy, all of them, Eisenhower. They've all used the Insurrection Act to stop violence in cities and calm everything down, take control of dangerous situations. So no matter what the left-wing radicals are telling you about Trump being a dictator or a fascist, no. It's been used before by Democrats as well as Republicans. In Portland, federal agents have arrested several black-clad Antifa militants, and they're fighting the federal agents. The days of the peaceful protesters are over, as these paid militants on the left in full black ops gear get a taste of justice, and they're going down. Local DAs, courts, and judges cannot pull that no bail crap with these arrests because they're federal arrests. So they can't lay down that stuff. There's no revolving doors on federal arrests. They're going to be punished to the full extent of the law. No BSing around with these guys. So they're going to clean up this city, whether these radical left-wing people like it or not. And they've been threatening Portland for a long time now. You remember the Summer of Love, where they actually took over the Capitol building and downtown buildings for a whole summer. And Kamala and them call them peaceful protests. Meanwhile, in the background, cars are flipped over, cars are on fire, buildings are on fire. They're rioting and looting honest, hardworking business people of their peaceful protests. But they're being hauled away in cuffs now. They're being cleaned up, and they're done. Now, my last thing is about AOC, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, the ex bartender that would be queen. She's officially taken over the Democratic Party, and we saw that with the Schumer shutdown. These left wing radicals like Bernie Sanders, Ilham Omar, Rashid Tlaib, Gavin Newsom, and the soon to be mayor of New York City, avowed communist Zoran Mamdani. And they say he's got a 90% chance of being the mayor of New York City when the election rolls around. The takeover took place when the shutdown Schumer relented to the radical left. They demanded that he shut down the government. And, these old codgers like Schumer and anybody else of his ilk, they have no choice. The Democrat has been, the party's been taken over by AOC and her left-wing radicals. And if you don't play ball with them, they'll get rid of you. I mean, they're saying if Schumer didn't go along, AOC would be the minority speaker of the Senate. So there you go. That's what's happening. It's in full takeover right now. Schumer and them have folded. They've had to. And they demanded a shutdown of the government because Trump would not give health care to millions of illegal aliens and take money from hardworking Americans for illegals, along with a couple other things in the spending bill that he gave to the Senate. Turned down by Schumer and his gang of things, and they need a 60% vote, I think, to pass it. And of course, they only have 50. I think they're 52 to 48 or something like that. So they've only got four people, and you've got these rhinos and the Republicans who go against it. But you can't get 60% anyway. They would have to get 60% of the 100 that are there. So 60 votes, and they only have 52. So they can't do it. It's that simple. It's that simple. AOC is leading the charge. The riots are funded by Antifa, their group, and you can see that they're leading up to a civil war. That's what they want. They want a civil war. They want them to uprise and battle the government, trying to kill them. It's a battle on the government, battle on Christianity. These people are wanting to take over, these left-wing communist, socialist radicals. And Namdami is a good example of what's happening in the country as he is poised to be the mayor of New York City. And he's he calls himself a democratic socialist to be nice, but he's communist all the way through. And while these riots continue in the U.S., the Kremlin is deciding whether to go to war with NATO or not. They're looking at it. And NATO does want a war with Russia and deal with them once and for all, so that's scary. So that's it. We got a wacky world right now, and it's trying to get cleaned up, but there's just too many radicals out there who don't want it. They want to take over things, and they want Trump out of there. They have TDS. They hate Trump. They hate anything American. They hate anything capitalist. It's just the way they are. And they're good. They're trying to get their way, but Trump's not putting up with it. So it's going to get interesting. And here we are in Canada facing the same situation with nobody doing anything. At least we have Trump in the United States trying to take care of business. In Canada, nobody's doing a thing about it. So 1:00, I'm getting out of here. I ran a little bit over. Sorry about that, everybody. Don't forget the council meeting at 4:00 today. Tomorrow's Habsolutely All Habs All Show, but on Thursday I'll be talking about the council meeting on Straight Talk Thursday. We'll watch the meeting today and then give you a report. Finally, Friday, gateway to the long Thanksgiving weekend. And you know what? I thought it was Easter weekend. I'm serious. I thought it was Easter weekend for about 10 minutes. I even wrote down here to the long Easter weekend. I don't know what the heck I was thinking of. I think the fight against Christianity, maybe that got me thinking about Easter. I don't know. But it's the holiest time of year, of course, for Christians. And I really thought it was Easter this weekend, but no, it's not. So Friday is a Good Friday. It's finally Friday for me. I will be taking Monday off because that's Thanksgiving Monday. It's a holiday, and I'm going to take that day off and have a nice, relaxing day sitting around doing squat. Be back on Trash Talking Tuesday, hammering everybody I can, of course, and taking all comments. Please comment on the video. Go to YouTube, subscribe, please. Share the video. If you're looking to maybe market your business, don't forget, give me a call. Paul Lemire at Cogeco.ca or 905-353-7560, or message me on Facebook, my Facebook page. That's fine. And maybe we can get together and I can talk about your business on the show. Anyway, have a good afternoon, everybody. Everything's looking greener with the rain. We're supposed to get better weather during the week, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. God bless you all. Be safe out there. Support our sponsors, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Pizza on Victoria Avenue, and also Hamill Machine Company. Talk to you tomorrow. Support our sponsors. Ciao, ciao for now. Have a great day, Tabernacle.